take the link to join again our conclusion session. All the links are different, so please be aware of this, so don't get confused. Because last time happened, but we wanted to be clear, and we gave you all the explanation in the email that I sent you until this morning. Then, concerning the agenda, I'm welcoming you opening this workshop, and then we will go to be a bit alive, and unfortunately we cannot still be present all together, but I hope that this is coming soon, and I hope that all of us resisted and we'll be able to travel soon. So let's hope that the next workshop will be live, so we will have the chance to meet each other. But for the moment, we still have to keep with the situation. So we will have a short interaction with all of you, and I will do 4 or 5 questions to you to know who you are, to try to know who you are and how much knowledge you have about ETIP SNET. Then our vice chair, Norella Constantinescu, will give you a short presentation about ETIP SNET and Bridge, what we do, where we are, what are our plans. So to make you also aware about what ETIP SNET is doing and be able, if you are not, or if you're not already, join us. Then we will go through a panel session where we will speak about RNI, and we will give you the angle of the 5 working groups that are in ETIP SNET. So with the representatives that I thanks for their availability. We will have a short Q&A session. Then we will be split in 4 parallel sessions from 10:40 to 12:10. The first parallel session is about market-based energy systems, and the second one is integrated energy networks focused on storage. The third one, always at the same time, so always 10:40, 12:10, is digitalization as key enable, with focus on semantic interoperability, protocol, data gateway, IoT integration. And then the fourth one is consumer and citizens engagement, engaging groups and individuals. Then we will come back all together with another link, please remember it, to the conclusion, where we will sum up the key conclusion from the 4 parallel sessions. There will be an interesting presentation about the results of a questionnaire that was circulated to the projects by our working group 5. So our chair, Venizelos Eftimio, will show us the results of this kind of based on innovation radar. So always tracking RNI. And then our colleague, Shania Rudenberg from Clarence, will give us the conclusion of this workshop. Then we can go to the next slide. How we will interact. We will interact via chat if you want, or via Slido. So please click or scan the barcode that you see on this slide and put this code, so hashtag 753046. And please remember, up to the screen, I think is up on the left, going on the right session. So it's divided per session, but the code remains the same. So please select, for example, now for going to our introductory poll, select the plenary session. And then the parallel session, you will change according to what you choose to attend. Said that, next slide. Other general organization rule. Normally we say switch off your microphone and camera for connection reason, but if we see that the connection stand, so please feel free to be connected with your video. It makes more, let's say, interactive and more real. If we see that there is any problem, we will ask speedily to switch it off. Only panelists and moderator at the moment have their camera and the microphone on automatically. This is why some of you cannot unmute yourself. For the chat, as I told you, please put them on Teams. We will read it. So the support in Secretariat will read it. And please be aware, as you can already saw, that the entire workshop, including the parallel session, will be recorded. So unfortunately, if you don't agree, unfortunately, you need to leave. But I hope that there is no problem. These, of course, help us to also for the sake of clarity and completeness of the minutes that you are going to receive after and the proceedings of these workshops. is useful to have these recorded. For the accessing link, I already told you, you received the access card, but all links to the other session will be posted in the chat before each session. Please, now, let's try to do this short introductory poll for seeing how much you know about us. And so just to break the ice a bit and try to be involved in this workshop as much as possible. So I give you the time to go to Slido if not done already, and insert this code again, or just with your phone if you're more technological than me, just scan your barcode. So the first question is, please Sabrina, let's show the first question. Do you know ETIP SNET? So let's see if we are becoming famous or not. Voila! So we are super famous. So or we are all part of the same community, and then we are among us, always to discuss about this, or we are reaching our goal. So thank you very much. So we need to still. Okay, the 3% of us doesn't know us, so we will speak to you, let's say. But thanks all the others to be here and already get informed about us. So, second question. What does an ETIP SNET stand for? This could be not so easy because sometimes you know us as ETIP SNET. Nothing. We needed to get the question more difficult, Shania, next time. So 100% knows that we stand for Smart Networks for Energy Transition. This is our focus, and yes, so our focus is really the integration about sectors. As you will see now in the parallel session, inside of our working groups, we tackle several networks. Always this 3%, you are justified. We know that you don't know us, but now you discover what is our target and our acronym standing for. Next question is, have you already participated in previous regional workshops? This is really a useful question for us because in this way we know if we can dig, or if we need also to repeat some concept that could be useful. Voila, this is a really good result. So we have 50% that already join us or probably are already part of our team, and 49% that didn't join the other regional workshops. So this is our occasion to attract you for the next one. And yeah, be sure that we continue to have you around the table, but it means that we have new people coming, a new source of information that is always super good. Fourth question. In which country is your company, organization located? Don't put abbreviation, put the full name of your country in English. This is useful for us because I tell you, a bit the reason why we called it regional workshop, and you see that we are from all regions here. Originally, when before that COVID, let's say, confused our life, these workshops were done, and hopefully they will come back. They were done regionally, so focus on 4 macro regions. Putting together countries that were, let's say, aligned for neighborhood reason. So having probably the same interest, the same source of energy, and so on and so forth. So we were gathering these workshops like that. This is why they are called regional. Now, unfortunately, this dimension in this situation was changed. So this is why we are all now all together. Could be that this soon will change, and we will come back to the regional, let's say, dimension of these workshops. We will let you know. But for the moment, what is important is know that from where you come from, because you will bring with you different interests, different point of view that are really useful for us to identify the R&I priorities that can be different in each from the south to the north. So here we see that the majority at the moment come from France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Cyprus, the Netherlands, Italy, Belgium, Greece, and but we see also with pleasure North Macedonia, Norway, Austria, Lithuania. Switzerland, Turkey, Slovenia, Romania, Bulgaria, Bavaria, Slovakia, Serbia, and Porto. So I'm really happy. I think that we cover a lot of the EU countries, so and also over them. So I'm really happy that we will cover a big big part of our interests. Then last slide, last question, and then we enter into which sector are you from? As I told you, we target the integration. So this question is really important for us to know who we are around the table, from which sector we can learn and which can contribute with us. Most people already replied. "46. Okay, let's see. Let's start to try to read. I see here predominance of at the moment research institute. I'm really curious to know who are the others. we didn't see it, so this can be a reason to improve next time. You can write who you are instead of just putting maybe other. So we discover who you are. And if you are not in this list, please write from where you come from in the chat. So it's really interesting for us to see from who these other are. Then we have technology providers. So we have distribution system operators. You can go 1 second down, Sabrina. So we have university, we have transmission system operators, a bit less. We have energy utilities. And for today, we don't have EU institutions. At the first workshop they attended, but today they were not available. So, but let's hope also in the next ones they will come back. Ministry, national platform, NGO, public service, regulatory authority, always 0%. And this is something where we need to do an effort because we really need the member states angle. So please write who you are if you click on other. That for us is really interesting, as I said. Now, I don't take more time from starting content-wise our workshop. I really thank you to be here with us again. I hope that this break a bit the ice as much as possible in this situation. I hope that you are all safe, healthy, and you will stay like that. And I hope that we will be able to see each other soon. Now, I leave you the floor to Norela Constantinescu. Now the presentation is going to be shown and managed by our colleague from Clarence Consulting, and Norela as our vice chair, new vice chair. So the floor is yours, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Maria Laura, and thank you for this introduction. I am pleased to be here with you. I will introduce ETIP SNET, although I saw that many of you know quite well what is ETIP SNET. If we go to the first slide, of course, Maria Laura explained the purpose of these regional workshops. Today, we are not in regions. We are, I think, pan-European represented by the attendance. I still don't see the slides.
Indeed, so I don't know what I'm checking if there is some problem. Shania, do you have the slide? Hello, maybe there is some problem. Huh? 1 second.
I have them just in case.
Okay. So,
she is.
Thanks.
Thank you. So maybe if we go to the full screen, Shania, would be better. Thank you. So we are the Smart Networks for Energy Transition, so the European Technology and Innovation Platform, which of course was set up in the beginning as focusing on the networks, electricity networks, but with the time integrated more the other energy vectors. And of course, we similarly to the other platforms, we are guiding the research and innovation in support to the energy transition. We belong as structure to the Strategic Energy Technology Plan, an initiative which was framed by the European Commission back in 2007 with the first package coming regarding the deployment of renewables and actions for the energy efficiency. This was, of course, from a technological development point of view. And together with us, there are other 9 sectorial energy-related technology platforms. So we go beyond the smart electricity grids. So we represent transmission distribution, but we represent also other energy networks. If we go to the next slide. So we have a multitude of stakeholders and experts. You will see some numbers at the end. As other ETIPs, so we have developed roadmaps and implementation plans for research, development and innovation. But I have to say that we were, I think, the first ETIP which was really taking the action of making the vision for 2050. And at that time was an initiative which was very well received. We align our efforts with the member states. And of course, although today we don't have regulators, we don't have representatives of governments and ministries, so we are looking also at innovation barriers. If we go to the next slide. We are organized in 5 working groups. So with the representations of all the different stakeholders you see there on the left-hand side. And we gather so around 350 experts from the energy sector in the 5 working groups, which I will detail further on. If we go to the next slide. Our main activity is, of course, to develop the research and innovation roadmaps. We have carried out this exercise a few years ago, and we actually cluster the different input coming from stakeholders in 6 research areas and 12 functionalities you see here, by looking, of course, with the major focus to the customers, prosumers, citizen and energy community engagement. This was also the result of the clean energy package development at system economics, digitalization, planning and architectures, system flexibility and enablers, as well as system operation. A new roadmap, if you click once again, I think will come in 2022, and we are going to work on this. The roadmaps, when they are developed, they are based on the inputs we received actually from this regional workshops, as well as from a monitoring exercise we take regarding the advancement which you develop in the projects which we are going to listen today. And of course, there are many other projects we were listening before in other regional workshops. And based on these surveys and analysis, we identify the gaps and we see how we moved forward. If we go to the next slide. In addition to the roadmap, which is a longer-term perspective, having a 10 years term looking forward, we have these implementation plans, which are shorter from the from the time perspective, we try identifying priority actions which we take, for example, in next 5 years. The example of the latest one, it's here, and I mentioned before the 6 research and innovation areas, and you see examples here how they are clustered. If we go to the next slide. The other click. So we will have a new implementation plan. One of them, it's scheduled for this year, and this regional workshop will help us actually to identify how we moved on these different activities you see here on the screen. And then the further one will take place in 2023. Next one. Now I'm coming back to the activities of the working group, because this exercise of actually moving forward with the planning activities for the research plans and roadmaps are connected to the activities of the working groups of ETIP SNET. The first one, which is looking at reliable, economic and efficient energy system, it's also producing, in addition to the mandatory deliverables, I would say, of ETIPS in general, white papers where a multitude of experts are working. And in the working group number 1, dealing with the economic, efficient and reliable energy system, we started with the power system architecture, so back in 2019, and then we moved with the development of white papers towards the sector coupling, and we worked together on the concepts, the state-of-the-art perspectives, and this year we managed to actually put forward the smart sector integration paper, which is available on ETIP SNET website. And we will continue this activity by digging in to sector coupling, looking at hydrogen and impact on the electricity grids, flexibility, resilience, and e-mobility. If we go to the next slide. The working group 2, which is related more to the storage technology, their integration into the energy system, and of course, which is a source of flexibility. It's an activity which it's also looking at cooperation with other ETIPs, and one ETIP with which Working Group 2 is cooperating, it's ETIP SNET. It's important to say that, of course, giving the energy transition challenge, but also the environmental requirements, which will become more and more important in the period 2020-2030, the circular economy principles in the storage field are also looked for in Working Group 2. If we go to the next slide. The Working Group 3, another example of cooperation with other ETIP, and I will mention here renewable heating and cooling, and of course the flexible generation, and also their white paper on flexible power generation in decarbonized Europe, which was published last year. If we go to the next slide. The working group number 4, which is a working group where I participated as well as member and also as co-chair. It's looking at digitalization and customer integration. So we have developed during the time some white papers, which of course were there for on ETIP SNET website, looking at digital technologies, but looking also at use cases. And now our focus is actually to develop the digital use cases focused mainly on residential customers in order to have an integrated way of connecting the ecosystems which are related to electricity sector, mobility, heating and cooling, and identifying the interoperability of those architectures. So in order to facilitate this customer integration and make the access to different options, being flexibility or being for example, service from the point of view of electricity supplied, or for instance, charging the electrical vehicles as a one single stop shop. And we are pleased to see that this activity is having an impact, and we established a way through European Commission actually input towards their action plan regarding digitalization for the energy sector. And if we go to the next one, Working Group 5, which Maria Laura mentioned before, which is looking at the innovation implementation in the business environment. And actually, it's gathering the inputs from the different projects by looking at the table you see here. So gap analysis, innovation, support to market uptake, regulation and standardization, and the research infrastructure. And if we go to the next slide, what is important, it's of course the relationship between ETIP SNET and the Bridge initiative. The Bridge initiative, which is collecting the inputs from, I think, more than 80 projects related to transmission, distribution, and storage, and which is an activity extremely useful for actually pushing the outcomes of this project in a more, how to say, streamlined approach towards the future development of energy or digital policies. So we started with these topics: smart grids, energy storage, islands, and digitalization. There are working groups which are created regarding the regulation. For example, a lot of input is there for the flexibility and the activity which is related to the flexibility network code, data management, customer engagement, and business models. And of course, we added over the time the energy communities and self-consumption, replicability, joint communication, and research and innovation priorities. And I think with this, I'm looking forward for the outcome of this workshop, which will support us in actually making the path towards this implementation research report for 2020. So for this year, and thank you for your participation, and enjoy the 12th regional workshop of ETIP SNET. Back to you, Maria Laura.
Thank you very much, Norella. So we saw what I said, that one of our keywords is integration, was well shown by Norella in these slides. So also the 50% of you that doesn't know ETIP SNET, well, no, the 3% that didn't know ETIP SNET now knows what we are talking about, and probably we hope that we attract the attention on the 50% that didn't participate to the next workshop, to the last workshop, also to be here and to participate to the next one. If you want to join, if you didn't do already, if you want to join any of our working groups, also more than one, please find on the chat the link where you can find the application form, and all of you can become members. Is on voluntary basis, is depending on your time, but more experts are more than welcome to contribute to our working groups and our main outcomes, as Norella showed you, roadmap implementation plans. Now, let's go ahead with our agenda. We are perfectly on time, so it's really, really good. So there is the panel session will be moderated by Ludwig Garg from Baum Consult and Shenia Rudenberg from Clarence Consulting. So please, the floor is yours. Thank you again to all for being here today. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Maria, Laura. Thank you, Norella, for introducing us to what ETIP SNET is all about. Finally, I think I will understand it. I have been together with you guys for long, but it's a difficult beast. That's why we try to explain it a bit more in the next 30 to 40 minutes. Shenia, me will lead it. I hope that you can see the presentation. Can someone? And Shenia, you have to unmute.
Yes, I can see it, Ludwig. Thank you.
Okay. So who is Ludwig and Shenia? So we are both members of the what I call the support team to ETIP SNET and Bridge. And Shenia especially is, I think, the key responsible for this series of workshops. So she knows exactly what's going on. And so together we want to get a bit more information, dig a bit more into what's happening in ETIP SNET and around it. As announced, we have some members of what we call the ETIP SNET technical core team, Rainer, Aris, and Nikos, and then we have the representatives of the working groups that Norella mentioned. So if we start with Rainer Bacher, is one of the key architects of the implementation plan, and he tries to create a new version of the implementation plan. So he knows, I think, best what smart networks for energy transition really stands for, and how the networks link the rest of the technologies and approaches, etc., etc. Obviously, it's about networks. Norella tried to explain it, and I think she was quite good on that. But can you dig a bit more into these networks? How are these SNET, Bridge, Horizon, set plan? How are these networks related? You have agreed with me on this picture. Does this picture help to explain it a bit in relation to each other?
Yes, thank you very much, and thanks for being able to say a few words here. It is indeed not so easy to find oneself in all these many structures. Let's just say it from a very high angle. What do we want to achieve? You know, we want to change here Europe, and actually a little bit the world, towards renewable systems and working systems. You know, at the end, the whole thing must work as it did in the last 20 years. And we all are aware and know it's very, very challenging. And for that, it was, when I looked back, this was a few years already ago. So this is a long-term process. We are in the middle of it. And the set plan was created really from, well, it's even hard to say from the European Commission. It was a member states initiative. At the beginning, it was then coming together by the EC, and that was the set plan. So on the left side of the picture, you see kind of the countries, the member states, the associated countries, the governments. And on the right-hand side, you see all the other interested stakeholders. They are represented here in the upper part by these so-called platforms, which again have partially a European, partially a national aspect. And here you see we have wind, PV. This was also mentioned by Norella. And at the end, you see here smart networks for the energy transition in the middle of the picture. I don't know if you see my mouse actually moving. No, you don't see it. Yeah, you may see it. Exactly. So as Norella said, the technology platform was originally totally, well, I say an extreme way, this is the industry, you know, this is the industry, these are the small companies, the innovators, the research institutions and all that. And they want to go together and cooperate with the SET plan, which is more the member states and the European Commission official world.
Okay.
And on the lower part, you see kind of when we do projects, you know, we will talk about projects in this regional workshop again. We have the Bridge World, which is representing many big projects in Europe. And so in the end, it's coming together, and ETIP SNET tries to bridge these worlds, kind of bring them together. The word integration appears everywhere, and this is what we are trying.
You, Rainer, you are working at that borderline, I know that. And what do you expect from this series of regional workshops? I mean, you and the team are about to create a new version of this implementation plan. How can these regional workshops contribute to that?
Yeah, that's right. So the idea is, well, you will see later also in the parallel sessions that we are trying to work with you, with the projects, on getting input for what we need to really do to advance our worlds. And the regional workshops here are in principle a key element of advancing together towards the right things to do to create this transition. So we capture projects, we hear what they are doing, and we you know, get out the key elements to which we want to put in the IP and implementation plan and the roadmap.
Maybe to finally understand it, as I said, I'm deep in it, but not deep enough to really understand it. There is also there's a document implementation plan of ETIP SNET, a nice picture here in the middle, and there's a new one to come. And you, Aris, Nikos, and we are working on that. How does that relate to the documents from the SET plan? For example, this SET plan action 4 IP. I think this sounds very similar. How is that related?
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, the output, a very good question. Well, we are here to work for the so-called ETIP SNET implementation plan and roadmap. This is in the end a European view and picture of what the industry and research and the platforms think what we should do. On the other side, we have the member states who also sit together and say what they want from a governmental point of view what to do. So they create these IWG4, so-called implementation working groups and so on, but they also create documents which say what we need to do. So in the end, you just need to see these two worlds. It's like the governmental views of the country, which of course is also fed by industries and platforms. And then we have the more European view on the right-hand side. And together we try to create the right things. What do we need to do? And last word, what is so important, these are not independent worlds. We try to link the two worlds. So the IWG4 on the left side, the implementation working groups and ETIP SNET cooperate in getting a compatible version out over the years. And I think we are working on that, and we are quite successful already. They are really compatible.
So from time to time, you talk to the both sides, and it's not only you, Shenya. It's also you organize it, and some of the others.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Ludwig. I would like to ask a question to Mr. Hatzioglu. He is one very important person in the ETIP SNET. He has been for a long time involved as ETIP SNET chair and co-chair. And he is an academic senior and DSO expert. And can you please tell us, why is ETIP SNET so important from your perspective?
Thank you, Shenya. Indeed, I have been chair and vice chair of ETIP SNET for several years. I enjoy that extremely much, and I still keep on enjoying it. I have been academic for 35 years now. I have been involved in research, and also I have been CEO of the Hellenic Distribution Company of Greece and the utility business for around 10 years. So I had the chance to appreciate really what is more practical, but more applied in research, and how this can help in transition of the energy system to a sustainable future. So I have also from personal experience understood better the big role of interaction between the various stakeholders, how important it is to have a consolidated view of industry, academia, member states, also national policies. So ETIP SNET is exactly doing this bridge, this consolidation of views and how we all see a common sustainable future.
Nikos, can I ask you a question? I mean, I think Norella pointed to it, and also Maria Laura, that this series of workshops is supposed to be a series of regional workshops. I mean, there was a good reason in the last year or the last years that we do it on a regional basis to cover the various regions in Europe. Why do you believe that this is still reasonable that we call it regional workshops while we are all together on a screen?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In fact, Europe really now shares the same vision for a decarbonized energy system and also for its transition to a more sustainable future. Nevertheless, and this is the European policy, and I think everybody in Europe has adopted this policy. However, there are, of course, regional or national problems. There are national solutions. Mm-hmm. There are very interesting local initiatives, and it's worth for everybody to have lessons learned from all these initiatives, to understand what work has been successful, what we can copy, and what solutions we can adopt. So we avoid perhaps some duplication of funding, also some waste of resources, so we can better utilize all these resources for a common goal. So for me, it's very proper to still call these workshops regional.
So Europe as the Europe of regions.
Voila. Thank you very much. I would like to give now the word to your colleague, Aris Dimeas. Mr. Dimeas, you have been involved in this organization of this regional workshop. How does this help you with your work, and what are you looking for in particular?
Yeah, thank you, Xenia. As mentioned by Norella and Rainer, one major goal of ETIP SNET is the preparation of the implementation plan. It's in a short horizon, provides R&I goals in our domain. So this workshop and this the feedback we are going to get from the various projects are going to provide us important input for this implementation plan. Namely, we need to identify main achievements to see which part of the existing implementation plan is covered, and also identify new goals and new challenges to be included in the new implementation plan.
Okay, so we hope that we get a lot of contributions from this series of workshops, but still the work is going on in the working groups. So the working groups also digest what we get and collect information. Norella has explained the working groups. Now we have the chance to listen to some representatives of each group, one of each group, sometimes the heads or sometimes the deputies. So we call upon them one after the other, and we start with the number one, the working group number one. I call upon Santiago Gallego from Iberdrola. So you know, the industry is represented in the working groups. Santiago, you represent this working group, and the working group says it's about business and technology trends contributing to the overall energy system optimization at affordable investment and operation costs. This is a big team. A lot is about digitalization, that's for sure. We will discuss digitalization later when we dig into it in working group 4. But can you elaborate a bit on what are the big trends that you are facing beyond the digital trend? I mean, you are Iberdrola, you also have to follow the trends. What's going on in this world?
Thank you, Ludwig. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this workshop. Yes, definitely, we are living a fascinating moment, and it is very exciting to be at this moment at the ETIP SNET platform, considering that energy transition is in its DNA. So answering directly to your question, we are already facing unprecedented challenges. Difficult to imagine just only 10 years ago. Like the main trends for me are like the integration of great amounts of renewables, the necessary expansion and reinforcement of distribution grids to cope with it, and of course enabling energy system integration, and all while ensuring the resilience of the systems and increasing, of course, the security of supply and guaranteeing high levels of efficiency to all the customers. This, for me, are the key topics that we should always keep in mind in this sense. So our working group is currently writing 3 papers, as Norella presented a few minutes ago, on the topics, the impact of e-mobility on grids and the impact of hydrogen as well on the grid, and flexibility for resilience. So we believe that our contribution from this working group 1 can give very interesting ideas of these major trends and what can be the approach to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you take everything into account, what do you expect from the upcoming sessions today then? From this workshop?
Thank you, yeah. Well, these regional workshops are an excellent exercise to present the work and ideas of representative of the most relevant technology platforms, private companies, as Ludwig just said, small and medium companies too, associations and administration, and all under the umbrella of the ETIP SNET platform. So I think that coming series have a significant added value, addressing energy transition around 4 key topics. And the 4 panels are, I would say, well designed to stimulate knowledge sharing between all the stakeholders and presenting the latest advances. That is very important, very relevant for our work and for our understanding of the topics across Europe. Okay. And for those who are following us today, I just want to recommend them trying not to be lost in the high amount of information and try to focus on the high quality messages that all the workshops participants will deliver. That's very important for today.
Okay,
thank you. You have to go ahead.
Thank you very much. Now going to working group 2, Mr. Franco Di Persio, also representing today CIRCE. So thank you for joining us today. So working group 2, we have heard, is about storage. And it seems that storage is like a vaccine for everything. Yeah, why do you think, why is it that storage became so important? Why did it get such an important role?
Thank you, Senia. Thank you, Ludwig. Thank you for inviting me today. And yeah.
Oops, I think we lost him.
Yeah, some connection problems. I hope he can come back to us. Franco,
okay,
can you hear
I'm
us?
back. Yes, sorry.
You are back. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, some glitch. So of course there are several storage technology available. Some are very mature. They are together with us since tens of years. The issue that some are also quite new. So the issue is the integration of all those technologies. And also we have to consider there is also incipient technology that is the battery, that is a subject of another ETIP, of course. And altogether, those technology altogether require a big effort in terms of research innovation. That's why the reason of ETIP SNET to offer the stakeholders, European Union, and the European Commission, the member states, the guideline for the future. And I would like to really also consider an important aspect of integration, because in energy storage, the circular economy approach is very important, because it offers the lens through which we can really see the holistic of the system, the holistic approach of the system, because there is efficiency also very important. There is a lot of state transition of the energy. So that's is really key. Then the aspect today will be also presented with the project and the speakers presenting their project.
Franco, can I be a bit provocative? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, look at me, I'm old. I have been listening to these energy and storage people for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, and more or less they have told me the same story all the time. We need to make it happen, this energy transition, we need the storage, and we need to integrate them. So what is new? What is the real new challenge now today? Or what should we look at when we design a new implementation plan like Rainer does?
Yeah, I mean, the key of storage is also, of course, for how long we can keep this energy. So the big advantage of having several kind of technology available is also because they offer a different time frame for the service to work in a reliable way, and to provide this required resilience. And storage, of course, is a key aspect, because it allows to not only to keep the energy and to provide this energy and the power when it is required, but it also offers a lot of service to the network.
Do you believe that the battery from my electric vehicle can play a role in the future for the energy system?
Yes, indeed. I mean, the batteries, if the ownership model of vehicles stay as it is now, the vehicles is standing parked for 90% of its time.
Yeah.
So why not use this big reservoir?
Okay, you only have to convince me that I plug it in when it's not necessary. So that is something we have to discuss.
Okay, that's a start to be seen looking at the tariffs, and should be some advantage for who is plugging.
Thank you, Franco. Let's switch to our working group 3. Carlos.
Thank you.
Carlos, can you show up, please? Carlos,
hello, good morning.
You're representing working group 3. When we listen to Franco says, if we have the batteries, we can solve all problems. When we have the right long-term storages, why do we need flexible generation at all? That's a topic in your working group.
Well, there are several reasons and the different nature. Firstly, there are some technical reasons. On the one hand, storage is necessary to enhance the resilience of the grid by the penetration of the renewables, obviously. And we are in the increase of on the renewables this year. In the 2020, it was the landmark of the moment on the European renewables overtake fossil fuels, but the stability on the dispatchability of the classical plants. Okay, so stable, fast, and flexible generation is provided by the current classical systems, mainly the thermal and the hydropower plants. Okay, secondly, the current cost of deployment of storage technologies at very different sizes, okay, from the mechanical, electrochemical, and chemical systems are still high. as well as the scale up of the systems, okay, in order to achieve the real gigabyte storage is the costs are high. So it's necessary a time of maturation of all these technologies. And finally, flexible generation is a common approach in the integration of the grids. So also in order to include not only electricity, but also gas, heat, data and water. Okay, so it's necessary also to have a common framework in order to have a flexibility generation of on the system.
You talked about the business relation. I mean, maybe I ask Franco. I mean, he represents storage, you represent flexible generation. Is that a business competition as well? So who manages the volatility of the generation? Is it the storage, or can we control with flexible generation? Is there any insights as to the business cases? Can storages compete with flexible generation and vice versa?
No, I would say that are just compatible one each other. They are working together.
Okay.
And
together they make the business.
They make the business together. Yes, that is also a matter of the system is regulated. Of course, that is key.
Okay.
I don't know if Carlos, if you have other suggestions.
Okay, I suggest
it's necessary. So it must be all integrated, and okay, it's necessary to have a common approaches on regulation and also on from the technology and from the market and business point of view. So the aim of the ETIP is to have a integrated system. So we are all together in the same. All the technologies and all the dimensions of the ETIP are in the same line. Okay, so we are pushing all together in going to the same part. Okay, so
above all, we need control. We need digitalization, Shenya. We need working group 4, right?
Yes. Maybe Mr. Herse, can you explain which renewable resources could be more controllable and more flexible? I mean, what could be strategies and tactics to foster the contribution to the system stability?
Okay, so energy systems are complex, hence the solutions are also complex, and there is not a single silver bullet. Okay, the wind and also the photovoltaics, mainly the distributed ones, present the higher potential for large-scale deployment, and we are seeing that. But it's necessary the external storage at different scales due to the volatility. Hydropower, biomasses, and concentrated solar power present high dispatchability due to their intrinsic storage, but some limitation on the deployment, okay, on the size and the amount, as well as the geothermal. Geothermal is not very flexible and is limited depending on the zone, but it's excellent and as an option as base load for the system. Therefore, the thermal plant will continue to be crucial by the system, but it is necessary to address three main problems. First of all, is to decarbonize the fuels of the systems. Okay, so it's important to include the hydrogen, synthetic fuels, biomasses, and also the carbon capture uses and storage in all the system in the part of the thermal plants. Secondly, it's important to increase the flexibility of the systems, okay, increasing the ramping, the minimum load, the startups, etc. So some technical specific topics. And finally, it's necessary to develop and improve new technologies such as supercritical CO2 cycles, organic Rankine cycles, trilateral flash cycles of different technologies and lower TRL in order to increase the valorization of very different waste heat sources, okay, in order to increase also the flexibility of the system.
And then control them all together.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Herse. I would like now to give the floor to Mrs. Boskov-Kovacs, who is the co-chair of Working Group 4, a working group which is dealing with digitalization and also consumer engagement at the same time. So my first question to you would be, why and how are these two worlds connected in your working group? Can you explain a bit more?
Yes. Thank you, first of all. Thank you very much for the opportunity to represent our working group at today's regional workshop. So you pose a very interesting question, because when we talk about digitalization, you have the concept of something happening out there in the cloud with digital technologies, and having a customer-centric approach is something else. And Working Group 4, particularly now, is bridging both, because as we can see in other industries, with digitalization of technologies, more power actually moves to customers. So customer focus, I believe, is truly key to successful digitalization. Digitalization is also a key enabler for other working groups, for other new technologies being developed. And I would say digitalization is such, and power to convert the data into some added value will truly enable us to have sustainable and profitable energy industry. That's why the working group right now is focusing, as Norella mentioned in the beginning, on creating a one-stop shop for customer engagement as well, combining all of the digital technologies that support and enable both customers as well as technology providers and the energy industry as a whole.
Okay, thank you, Elena. That's very, explains it really to the point. And then I would also like to ask you, you represent now a successful company, so the business angle and the ICT industry. Can you tell me, how does your company benefit from ETIP SNET? How is that beneficial to you?
Yes, we do represent an ICT provider, although I like to call Blueprint Energy Solutions as an Austrian think tank. We do work across Europe with many different stakeholders who, just like us, benefit from participation in ETIPS as a working group. To give you an example, I got let's say, the most amazing feedback in 2018 when we published one of the first white papers in ETIP, which was the white paper on digital energy use cases, technologies, and cybersecurity. When one of the system operators we were working on called it a Bible that everyone should read, because there isn't one size fits all when we talk about research and innovation and novelty that is taking place. And you will agree that the energy industry right now and in the next decade will change more than it did in the past 100 years. So participating in ETIP, I believe strongly, truly helps us as an ICT provider help bring that innovation that is being discussed at both technological, academic, innovation level, and bring it down to people who truly want to implement it in their organizations. So the question goes, how? I love this idea. How do we do this? Help us navigate this, help us prioritize and pick up that low-hanging fruit from the use cases you all are talking about.
Elena, sounds like you have fun with doing that job.
Very much so.
But
yes,
let me ask one nasty question. I mean, we're talking about data and the importance of data, and at the end of the day, people give data to somewhere so that someone can better manage the system, but many people are afraid of giving data away. I mean, how do we deal with that? I mean, in your working group, you also deal with people, not only with digitalization. So yeah. Are people really afraid? Do they willingly give away data so that you can better manage the system?
That's a very good question, Ludwig. I think we'll be dealing with this question more and more, not just within Working Group 4, but also at the European level, outside of ETIP, at the level of all decision makers in the years to come. Because everybody is aware that data conceptually can solve problems. It can solve issues with outages, traffic jams, disaster reliefs. But EU countries are still not at the level of using data to its full potential to do that. And I strongly believe, and we do within this working group, that more secure, more regular data sharing could help us use that for public good. There are some initiatives, as I hope we will see in the coming sessions, about how to deal with this, the concepts about anonymization of data when we're using it for research and innovation, but that's just touching the surface.
And it's also a bit a question, I think, how much you get back. I mean, people give away a lot of personal data in WhatsApp and Facebook, but they get something back, obviously, that they value.
Yeah, and that's why I believe the key is built in 3 pillars, and I'm reflecting something that Commission is already working on, and that is improving governance, the national structures for data sharing, that is dealing with transparency of data. So how to make data sharing more citizen-centric so that people are not so afraid of it. And how to develop ethical guidelines in order to create the trust between the end customers and all of the industry that wants to leverage that data to improve, ultimately, again, improve the quality of life and the security of our energy systems. And finally, I think one aspect where we can bring most benefit, where also Horizon projects, innovation projects can contribute a lot, is building new operational models. We are starting the discussion also about not just privacy of data, but what incentives can we recommend to policymakers so that both end customers and companies would like to share data. And more studies, more training, more knowledge building is certainly something that will be.
And you talk to the related working group in Bridge, I know.
Yes, exactly.
So thanks, Elena, for that.
And now we see a helicopter on the screen that gives the floor to Working Group 5. I would like to now invite Christina Papadimitriou to join our panel. And yes, you are helping this working group to manage certain questions, and it's called the Helicopter Working Group. And our question would be, why is it called Helicopter Working Group?
Okay, so thank you for having me here today, and thank you for the question.
Pleasure.
Actually, Working Group 5 exactly is the helicopter working group because it undertakes the horizontal activities in order to support all activities within the other working groups and in general the R&I community that is represented through the other working groups. So as Norella has already said and pointed out, there are different working teams that carry out activities within Working Group 5 that has main objectives to support the R&I community in the following ways. The activities aims to foster holistic views on burning issues like the R&I priorities and the maturity of technologies and how this will be quantified, to alert the community on burning, on maybe forgotten issues somehow, like the replicability and scalability issues that are of great importance, and to support the innovation endeavors and help the outcomes of the different R&A activities to find their way to the market. So yes, Working Group 5 is trying to give the iBird's view to the whole R&I community and at the same time support the activities in an integrated way in order to secure homogeneity that is really important.
Christina, may I ask the same question that I asked to Nikos? I know that with Venizelos and UCI and FOSS, you are also involved in the Pantera project. And the Pantera project was at some point of time created when people realized that Europe is so different in the regions. I mean, when you say you look at the R&I needs and expectations, etc., does it make a difference where you look in Europe?
Does it make a difference too?
Where you look in Europe? I mean, what are there different approaches to the RDI activities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's a really nice question. Actually, yes, FOSS is coordinating the Pantera project, and its main outcome is the multifunctional platform of ERI. So yes, ERI is going to cover any gap in the knowledge, data, and info that the R&I community have and in many cases there are we need to focus, and that's what the ERI platform will also support. We need to focus to the countries that have left behind, and to balance the different approaches. And this is our way to build more in the homogeneity. So there are different approaches from bottom up and top down in order not only to support the countries and the community, the researchers that have a really good, let's say, footprint in the smart grids research development, but also for the regions that have left behind. And this is also secured by the ERI cooperation with initiatives around Europe like ERANETS and other initiatives. Yeah.
So more or less what you say, it's about exchanging the knowledge all over Europe, and we need these platforms like the IRI or the Pantera working with the Spring project. So everybody working together to let that knowledge flow. That's the important message.
Yeah. Exploitable knowledge to the RNI community across Europe from end to end.
Okay, then, Xenia, let's go and create some more knowledge in our parallel sessions, right? I mean, Christina, you have the privilege. You will travel from one parallel session to the other and then comment it at the end. I don't know if you shared it with Venizelos, but you will summarize it at the end. So you will go with your helicopter while we go to our parallel rooms, correct?
Exactly.
Thanks to the panel.
Thanks to all the panelists, also from my side. And now our technical team will copy-paste the links to the parallel sessions in the chat, so you can choose which session you would like to attend. You can also switch because on your access card you're able to join all the sessions, but maybe select one. And then, of course, we see you all back together at 12:10 in the joint session, in the conclusion session, where we get a summary of everything. So see you in a bit.
Thank you, Xenia.
Thank you, Ludwig.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you later.